Hey guys, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a bit different, a bit personal. I know my last video was actually pretty personal too, but it's going to be less of a story time, more of kind of like a mental health topic video, and I'm going to be talking about something that I am super uncomfortable with. So if you see me acting differently than I usually do in my normal videos, it's because this is really hard for me to talk about, even to a camera, even to people that are close to me. It's really hard. I keep a lot of it in my head, but I figured that it would be helpful to make this video for people who are also going through the same thing. I recently came across a lot of other people on YouTube, on forums online that suffer with the same thing. I don't know why I waited so long to try to research to find other people that have the same type of disorder as I do, but yeah. So the three main reasons I'm making this video is 1, to help others, 2, as a form of therapy for myself, and 3, just because I feel like it will help if you know someone who has it, just to raise awareness and understanding, so you can further understand somebody who may have this disorder if you know someone. So if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more videos, press the little notification bell down below to be reminded every time I post a new video, and let's just try to hop right into it. Many of you know I suffer with anxiety and panic disorder. I've really come a long way in conquering those things. I'm able to have a regular job now out in the real world, still at my own personal levels of like how much I can handle it, but I also do YouTube and some other things on the side. So I have come such a long way from being agoraphobic and not being able to even leave my house. So you know that part of me. I have anxiety, but I also have a really big phobia that has a huge factor in the anxiety. So I have panic disorder and anxiety on its own, but then I also have emetophobia, and I've had this pretty much my whole life. There are certain triggers that started it, and that's where it began, but I've been suffering with this forever, and it sucks. If you don't know, by the way, I have like a notebook where everything is written out. I just kind of went crazy writing last night because I've been in a really bad state of mind lately and trying to hide it from the outside world, but I figured this would definitely help me to get it out. But if you don't know what emetophobia is, it's the fear of throwing up or other people throwing up. It all has to do with that, and yeah, it's different for everyone who has this disorder. Like, everyone's different. Some people are only scared of seeing it happen to other people. They don't really care if it happens to themselves so much, but it's more towards other people and in public or around, and they're always afraid of that. But mine is pretty broad spectrum, so it really has to do with me catching something that would make me throw up, me eating something that would cause me to throw up, me feeling a certain way that makes me feel like I'm gonna throw up, or if I see it on TV or if I see other people around me. It's all so triggering to me. I feel like with people who have emetophobia, they have an initial trigger, like the first experience that triggered you to have these thoughts in your head that spiraled and snowballed into emetophobia. And my initial trigger, whoa, I don't want to talk about this. In school, when I was in 3rd grade, I threw up twice in front of the class, and it just happened like so suddenly that like I didn't know it was coming. And that happens a lot when you're a young kid, which is a lot of the reasons why sometimes I'll get a little nervous around kids, because I think it's really unexpected for them when they're gonna get sick. So yeah, so that happened twice in a year, and it was, I think, really just traumatizing for me because it was public. Everybody could see it, everybody could see me, nobody cared, even young kids at that time. Nobody like made fun of me to my face, at least, but it was just traumatizing. So that was kind of like what started it. And after that, once I got to the next grade, 4th grade, it's really started then. So I was afraid to feel full. So I've actually heard this, and everything I'm saying I've actually heard from other YouTubers or people online that feel the same exact thoughts. So if you ever feel alone in any kind of phobia, just look it up. Like, just know that there's like millions of other people that feel the same exact way and think the same way as you, and you're not alone. But I would be afraid to feel full because I felt that if I was hungry, I was safe. You know, like if you're hungry, you're not going to throw up because you want food. You have that feeling, so it feels safe and you feel secure and safe from that like phobia. So I got really skinny. People thought I was anorexic. I just would eat small amounts. I just probably wasn't eating anywhere near as much as I should have been. I ended up getting nutrition shots. No one understood. I didn't know how to vocalize it. I didn't even know why, but it was just going on inside of me at that time. You know, I couldn't sit down and tell you how I felt like I do now. Then as time went on, some other experiences happened. Like, I mean, you throw up more when you're a kid, I think, depending on the person that you are, but I forget what age I was, but I happened to just get out of the shower, and I went into my mom and dad's room at the time when they were married, and I was brushing my hair with a hairbrush in the mirror, and all of a sudden I started to feel really lightheaded, and then I fainted. But as soon as I woke up from fainting, I immediately ran to the bathroom and got sick. So that triggered me to think, okay, like brushing my hair, maybe I was brushing my hair too hard. Like, it triggered me to think that brushing my hair too hard or getting a knot out meant that I was gonna throw up. Like, I connected those. Your brain, when you have a phobia like this, it'll connect events like that together. So it says, okay, this is bad, don't do that because that will make you throw up. It's kind of almost like OCD tendency thoughts, but you don't have full-blown OCD, in my opinion, not diagnosed or anything like that. But yeah, so I became like afraid to brush my hair all the way. If there was a giant knot, I would try to do it just really gently, or I would just give up on it. And then my hair actually really knotted up into like a giant dreadlock, which I hid in a beanie for so long, and no one really understood why I was so scared to like brush it out. I ended up cutting it out of my hair, and I had actually a really cute scene haircut from that somehow. But that just goes to show you, like, I didn't even realize, and nobody else really realized why. You know, it was weird. I wouldn't wash my hair in the shower under the shower head anymore because I was convinced the shower head was too rough. That made me faint. Like, we don't even know why I fainted, but I would just I would shower my whole body off and then put my head under the bathtub water because I felt like that was like not as much pressure to make me faint and make that happen again. Then I feel like there's always the big trigger, and mine was, I was working at a daycare at the time, so of course I'm around kids, I'm gonna catch a bug. I ended up catching it for the first time in my life, and I had no idea how quickly it came on and how I felt. It scared me so much because I felt completely fine, and then I wasn't fine, and I was not home, and I had to race home and try to make it, and then it just doesn't stop all night. Like, just, if you know what having a stomach bug is, like, it's literally my biggest fear. I've thought to myself, I'd rather die. I'd rather have no life at all than have that happen ever again. It's that extreme for me, but that was the big trigger where I was like, whoa, this could happen at any time. I could be out, I can feel fine, I could eat, and then an hour later, I could be somewhere, and I can be stuck like that for so many hours, like out wherever I am. So that led me into being really, really agoraphobic. Besides the fact that I had panic disorder in general, just the thought of like being out somewhere and not being able to get home in time just led me to like not wanting to leave my house during the winter months when these things go around more. And this time of year it's really, really bad. So I've been really bad lately because it's been all over. I've been hearing about it. Every time I hear about it, my heart races. Like, in the summer it's not so bad for me. I'm more of a normal free person. It's always going to be on my mind, but it doesn't weigh on me the way it does when it's going around in the winter. So I just didn't realize all of these habits that I've had and grown into had to do with this until I got older and like really thought deeply about it. I have little things that normal people probably do. I mean, some people might think it's normal to bring things like this around. Actually, I know a lot of people that do, who are like moms and bring like all the medicine around with them just in case. But I mean, I carry Pepto-Bismol in my bag at all times wherever I am, just in case I get a stomach ache, because if I just get any weird feeling in my stomach, it ends up triggering me. And it used to lead to me like racing home from wherever I was and having to leave, which led me to not be able to have a job. I'm able to control the anxiety and like cope better. And I think that's really with a lot of disorders and anxiety and all that, is like, it's never gonna go away completely and you're never gonna be like without it. You just learn to cope with it and you just learn how to deal with it better. So it might be like really hard some days and you might fail and step back a few steps some days, but you'll always be progressing without even knowing. Some other points I want to make that that like, I guess just shows how much I suffer from it is I get motion sick, which is totally normal, like has nothing to do with this disorder or phobia at all. But the fact that I get most people get motion sick, but they don't like freak out about it. It just like kind of sucks. So I don't take any public transportation at all. I've never been on an airplane, which hinders like my travel quality a lot, working through it. But that is just because like if I get motion sick, I'm gonna freak out because I'm gonna think I'm gonna throw up, or once I feel nauseous a little bit, like I start to freak out. It's really hard to even go on car rides still, like long trips, but I used to not be able to even do it at all, and now I'm building up to go further and further. You just have to be with someone that understands you and will, if you need to, just like pull over and sit there for a few minutes just to check yourself mentally and just to like feel better if you feel motion sick. That helps your anxiety a lot. People think I'm really weird for this. I actually think it somewhat makes me a little bit healthier, but it is a restriction, is I don't eat anything out. I don't eat at any restaurants. I only make my own food. Once in a while I'll, you know, it's not like I'm not gonna get like a Starbucks drink or whatever. Like there's a few exceptions, but I will never ever sit down in a restaurant and eat out because I'm afraid of contamination of the food. In the past, I just have a sensitive stomach in general, so I would always feel sick after, so that like triggered me so much that I was like, why am I gonna feel sick, like spend money or have money spent on me to eat food and feel sick and freak out? It's not worth it. I do have some food allergies and food sensitivities too, so that all comes into play into a nice little mixing pot of anxiety and panic attacks. So yeah, I don't eat out at all, which is like blows people's minds and like aggravates people, I think, because they want to be able to do that with me, because I feel like going out to eat is such a social thing. But for me, I really don't mind. Like I am happy eating my own food, making my own food, less sodium, less garbage going into my food. I know exactly what I'm eating. But yeah, that's one of the restrictions I have. A really upsetting thing that I feel like people didn't understand at the time, or still don't understand because I never talked about it, is avoiding family gatherings in the winter, because you know that's when norovirus is going around and people are like, oh yeah, like I was sick last night but I'm fine, I'm better now. Like people don't realize that you're contagious for up to 2 weeks. It lives in surfaces unless it's bleached off. Bleach is the only thing that kills it. I know all this because of the phobia. For like a month or so it can live on surfaces, so it's very, very like contagious, which is, and very hard to kill, which is like what makes it even worse. So during the winter it was really, and sometimes it's still very hard for me to like go to parties indoors, because everyone's in one place, everyone's touching things, there's kids, there's everything around, and it became like incapacitating for me to like deal with it and the fear. And then it travels into the days after. It's not just like while you're there. It's like, okay, so here's the incubation period, and like when is it gonna hit me? I can't go anywhere for the next 2 days because I was in this environment this day, and then it can hit me at any time randomly. I could wake up and feel fine, and then it can hit me during these next 2 days, so like I can't go anywhere. So yeah, really upsetting, and I feel like people or my family didn't or don't really understand that it's something in here. It's not that I didn't want to be with them or didn't care. And it was also just panic disorder in general, as well as the like germophobia part of it. I'm really crazy about expiration dates, really crazy about food going bad. I mean, I know people who don't have emetophobia who are just like this, who are always checking the dates and won't eat something past the date. And then I know people who just don't even care. It could be expired and they'll still eat it and whatever. But I will not. I will not. And if it looks a little weird, I'm just throwing it out. I have trouble like eating food that I've eaten when I got sick. So like if I got sick after eating a certain food, even though it definitely wasn't the food that caused it, I am just like turned away from that food forever and paranoid. Like there's foods that I will never ever eat again. So it kind of ruins foods for me, or I let it ruin foods for me. But I've been pushing through that. I mean, for years I didn't eat pizza, and now I eat pizza, so there's that. Peanut butter is something I will never eat ever again, but I'll have like Reese's peanut butter cups. Over the last few years, I've just pushed myself and kind of cut that thought out of my brain enough to be able to be like, look, eat it and nothing happens. Like, prove to yourself that you're not going to throw up just because you ate something that you ate before you threw up another time. It's similar to just regular anxiety. It's just like taking baby steps and proving to yourself that doing this won't necessarily always end up in you getting sick. Like just tiny steps to build your trust with your own brain. This is crazy. This is like real OCD tendencies. I would like, even to this day, it still crosses my mind, but I will ignore these thoughts in my head when they come in. I wouldn't dress in like color combos or wear things that are similar to what I wore when I got sick, because it would remind me of it, and like I would just be thinking about it the whole time I'd be wearing it, so it'd end up ruining my day because it would take over my mind completely. Which it all sounds so silly and it all sounds like it makes no sense, but if you listen to someone else's phobia, like people have phobias of spiders or whatever, I'm just like, huh? Like how? Why? Like, phobias are weird like that. They really take over your heads. But like I said, still crosses my mind every time I put on like a certain color shirt with a certain color pants, because it's burned into my mind. Everything gets burned and traumatized like into my head, and like my brain stores it, and it's the evil emetophobia that like brings it out. But I still will wear whatever I want. It's just I have to fight those thoughts still. I try to avoid people who say that they were recently sick, and if I can't avoid them and I feel trapped because I'm forced to be near them, I'm really, really, really in a bad mental state for a very long time because of it. So yeah, that one's really hard. But I know people who know that I have emetophobia, they try to hide it. Like they'll try to be like, no, I think it was just this. I didn't really have like the bug or whatever. It's this, and this, and this. And then it's like, you can tell, like I can tell when people are trying to cover it up for the most part, and like they're just trying to help me or like help themselves so they're allowed to be near me. But in the end, it's just better to be honest with someone, just because you wouldn't want them to be surprised. Someone with emetophobia, you wouldn't want them to be surprised with getting sick. If you did get them sick, it's very easy to pass on. So that one's the roughest, because if I just hear about it, it's just like I'll nope, can't see you for this amount of time, because I just won't be able to be there. My brain shuts off and I'm just gonna panic the whole time. I definitely am and display all the effects of a germaphobe. My hands in the wintertime are just ridiculous. I don't know if you can tell now, I actually just put lotion on, but usually I have a line like right here, and my whole hand is like red and irritated, and it just never really goes away. It gets like eczema from washing my hands so much in the winter when this stuff's going around. I'm also like afraid of getting colds. Like I am germophobic when it comes to colds, but it just doesn't trigger the same intense response as ones that have to do with getting sick, throwing up. It might be helpful, it might not be helpful in the end, but I've found some ways to like still go out in the world and function in the world and make myself be okay for now, and that's just having bleach wipes on me to bleach my phone, because if you touch something and then you touch your phone, you're putting it on your phone, and then you're laying in bed and you're eating and touching your phone at the same time. So like it's a lot of thoughts of cross-contamination when you're emetophobic or germophobic. You're thinking about, okay, like you're thinking about literally everything You're thinking about literally everything that you touched. Like your mind is always on high alert for like looking out for someone who's sick and looking out for how your body feels and feeling everything in your body. And I just touched that and I'm about to touch that, and then it's just your mind is always at work. Seeing people get sick on TV, my boyfriend usually, if he knows something's gonna happen, he'll skip it or cover my eyes really quick for me if we're watching something together. But that could, it's gotten better over the years, but it still can like mess up a good few hours of my day because I'll just replay the sound in my head. The image will just immediately be burned in. Like any other person would just be like, ew, gross. Like, but for me, it's intense. It's just having like a constant voice in your head saying like, okay, you just touched that. Wash your hands before you touch this. You just touched this. You're bringing it into the house. Do this so it's not spreading around. All the germs from the outside are spreading around. Literally since like 2000, probably like 11, 12, I sleep with a garbage pail right next to my bed because I have the fear that I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night and be sick. I think a lot of it has to do with humiliation, like not making it and people seeing me get sick, all due to the first trigger of me getting sick when I was young. Anytime I hear someone cough, if somebody I live with wakes up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, I'm on high alert, and I don't even notice I'm on high alert, but my brain automatically is like super tuned into like, are they gonna get sick right now? Like anyone just coughing anywhere out in public, I'm immediately like, oh, like scared. If I see a car pulled over on the side of the road, my first thought is always, oh my God, is somebody getting sick? It's not like their tires blown out or they're just pulling over to text, which are things that like in my head, I have kind of conditioned and trained my mind to remind myself of this. So when I'm driving now, I will see a car and that will automatically be the first thought in my head because that's just the disorder. But to overpower it, I say, look, they're probably just texting. They probably just had to pull over for this reason. Like, there's so many reasons that I remind myself of that people need to pull over, and it's usually not what I think it is. It's just what's natural for me to think of and be afraid of. And automatically I have a fight or flight response to anything that has to do with it or anything that I think has to do with it. I get brain fog and I can't think correctly. And actually I had someone walk into my job recently and they actually told me in regards to just anxiety in general that like most of your brain function just turns off when you're in that fight or flight mode because your body's just focused on the adrenaline and surviving. So when I'm in that mode, it's like hard for me to focus and perform. And in no way is this supposed to make you feel bad for me. Like I am surviving, I am making it through somehow, but I just wanted to let anybody who is suffering from any phobia, especially this one, which is horrible, that it gets easier. And I've seen that. Just last night I came across a woman who made a YouTube video about this, and I'll leave like some inspirational other emetophobe videos down below. But this woman who made this YouTube video that really helped me in my way of thinking last night was actually telling how she is emetophobic, but she has 3 kids, and she's kind of giving you hope that you can have kids, because I'd love to have kids, but of course when you're emetophobic, you're thinking like, I'm not going to be able to handle it when they get sick. You know, kids get sick all the time. How am I going to get through morning sickness and all that? It's a huge fear. Out in public, if I see a stain on the ground, the first thing I'm thinking is that from someone who got sick. Like, I try to avoid it. Or if I see like a wet floor sign in the mall, like I'm immediately on high alert for that. It's, sorry if this video is super all over the place and not my normal video. It's just hard, just like fleeting thoughts in my head going, trying to get this out, because it feels so awkward to talk about something that you're so afraid of and you hold in and it's so personal to you, and share it with the world. I need to remember, and anybody else who suffers from any kind of phobia needs to remember, that anxiety fuels this phobia, and like these thoughts in your head fuel this phobia. So if you can like try to train your brain to like just take away, not take away, but like reinvent the thoughts in your head and just cope with the anxiety, learn coping skills, then it's going to get easier and easier and easier to deal with that phobia, even if it's just tiny little baby steps. And even if you fall back a few steps once in a while, then you're slowly gaining more knowledge every day that you grow older. Another thing that's really upsetting about being emetophobic is that when other people are sick, you can't help how you feel, and you can't help that you're gonna panic and be in fight or flight mode and freak the heck out because that's your disorder. And it's hard to be sympathetic and look caring. You seem really cold when you run away from someone who's sick, especially if they're a loved one and you just don't want to be near them. It's really hurt the feelings of my sister, even when she just has a cold. I can tell, like, I mean, now she's used to it, but people just, it's nice to know that someone's going to be there for you and hold you and like even just help you out when you're sick. And it's hard for me to be like that with any kind of illness just because I'm so germophobic. And I feel like a bad person because of it. I feel like people hold that against me or get mad at me because of it, but really I really can't help it. I like really can't help it. But I make a point every time to try to be better. There are so many ways of coping with any kind of phobia, especially emetophobia. There's talking to others, realizing that you're not alone, looking it up. There's tons of forums online where you don't even realize how many people also suffer with it. Exercising and keeping your mind healthy, your body healthy, and getting those endorphins and just keeping your mind off of it, being creative, and making sure you stay distracted in moments of time where you feel really, really, really bad. Taking small baby steps and asking for advice when it's needed. If you have someone to kind of check you, say your thoughts out loud. Even just saying your thoughts out loud to a camera or to yourself makes you think like, whoa, that sounds really crazy. Not crazy, but just like that, just you hear it out loud and you're like, whoa. It sounded like it made all the sense in the world in my head to do that, but now that I say it out loud, it's just like, whoa, like that's not, it doesn't make any sense to be afraid of that. It doesn't make any sense to feel that way. It just helps you reality check if you openly talk about your feelings to someone. It also helps them understand, like, okay, like that's exactly how this person's feeling at the time. I didn't know that that was going on inside their head. Hundreds, if not thousands of people are thinking the same exact thoughts that are going through your head. So don't think that you're crazy and you're the only one that's going through this. It's actually very common. It's just that people are afraid to talk about it because it's so scary to verbalize. And it's hard because a lot of maybe your loved ones or friends don't understand it all and think that this is just ridiculous for you to live your life this way or feel this way. But as long as they're willing to try to work with you to understand, like everything is going to be good with those relationships. You just need to be very open about how you feel and how you're suffering and talk to them about it and work together on that relationship. I mean, I know this isn't everything, but I guess I'm going to end the video here. It's kind of just going to be like a general video about it, expressing myself. So if you suffer with the same phobia as me, or you're going through some other kind of phobia, definitely leave some kind of comment down below. Preferably a good one, like a positive one. But you know, feel free to ask for help if you need, and I will do my best to respond. I'm hoping that other people will respond to help as well. I'm sorry if this video was all over the place and not my normal like bikini try on haul. Trust me, it was hard for me to sit here and film this and it wasn't exciting, but I did it and I think it will be for the better. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you found it helpful, if you want to share it with someone who's suffering, someone you know who's suffering, definitely give it a share. If you want to raise awareness. But yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.